everybody, I'm back and I am 99% moved into my house since I saw you last week. Funny story, I texted the neighbor kid at my rental and who mowed my lawn all last summer and asked him if he wanted to help me move. Not only did he say yes, but his dad agreed to help as well and bring an additional trailer on top of the U-Haul that I had. So they had all the heavy stuff packed, moved over here, and unloaded in like 4 hours. I thought it was gonna take all day. So that was amazing. I have just been spending the week unpacking. So now that I'm here full time, I've got to get down to the business of not just physically setting up my space, but also energetically setting up my space. And so this week, there's a couple of things that I did in order to do that. And there's a few things that I already did right when I first got the house, and some other things that I have done since then in order to accomplish that. So, of course, the first thing when I came into the space was really to do an energetic clearing of the space using smoke. So opening all of the windows, burning, clearing herbs, and really just using my intention, walking room to room, asking that all energy that is no longer needed here, that is not connected to me, be released from the space. And I have a whole video just on cleansing spaces if you want to learn more about that. I'll put it down in the description. Now, the second thing that I did was really to tune in and just double check that there were no earthbound spirits hanging around here. I was pretty certain that there aren't. I have a very physical reaction in my body when I walk into a space and there's earthbound spirits there, and I didn't feel that here. But I still tuned into the energy, did a mental sweep of the place, and just made sure there was nobody hanging around. I also initially set up some boundaries just to say, this is my place and I don't want any energies coming in that I haven't welcomed in. But this week I got more serious about it. So number one, and it's the thing that I recommend literally everybody do. I have a full video to walk you through it that I'll link down below, but it is to call guardian spirits to your house. If you're having any kind of energetic issue, this resolves a lot of those issues, but it's also a really, really good spirit to have around to just keep an eye on the place day to day and not for you to always have to be the one checking in, clearing, removing, all of those kinds of things. So this week I tuned in and asked for a guardian spirit to come watch over my house. And what showed up was an enormous dragon. It is as big and as wide as my house, and it positioned itself right out front. And so its job is to really make sure that there are not any physical beings or energetic beings who want to come into the house or onto the property that don't belong here, who aren't welcome, who don't have my highest and best good in mind. And so if you're interested in doing that for your own home, like I said, I have a meditation to walk you through that. It takes like 15 minutes and it really, really helps the overall feel of your house. And then the third thing I'm going to do, I have these raw Arkansas quartz crystals here, and I'm just going to bury them at the corners of my property. And it's not just about the crystals, you know, it is creating a crystal grid when I do that, but crystals in the ground do not a grid make. So you need to actually give them a job and tell them what you'd like them to do. They are conscious sentient beings, and so if you're going to place them in such a way, you want to, first of all, ask their permission. Do they want to function in this way? I had a big bag of them I was sorting through, and a couple of them said no when I picked them up. And so I picked up and grabbed the ones that specifically said, yes, they would like this job. I told them what their job was going to be. And after I place them in the ground, I will picture them in my mind's eye, all connecting and linking to each other and creating a protective bubble over the property and within the perimeter, and really just helping hold the vibration within my space. It's really important, whether you're new in your home or not, if you haven't done it, is to really set the boundaries. Make it clear to the energies in the area what space is yours? You're just saying like, this is my space and that is not my space, and making it really clear so that when you do call in, for instance, a guardian spirit, and you say, please, will you watch over my house and the land here? They know exactly where that is. So you can walk along the boundary and play a singing bowl. You can clap rocks together. You can place crystals. There's all kinds of different ways to accomplish that. But whatever you feel called to do, just make it clear that these are the boundaries in which I am living and working. Now, while those are some energetic boundaries that I have set up, I'm also working through physical boundaries and physical constraints that I am working with. And I am doing that. There's a few different ways that I am approaching this property, and I'll share more about that in the future. But because I would like to garden this year, I really do, although it is mid-January now, I have to start thinking about my plan. Where am I putting my beds? What constraints am I working with? What do I need to get done before spring planting season? And so because of that, I really have to start at the beginning of what is my big plan? What am I working with here? And so I have a permaculture background, and this book here is, there you can see the authors. This was a textbook for when I took my permaculture design certificate course back in 2016, I think, or maybe 2015. It's been quite a few years now. And so it's a very big book, but if you're interested in this kind of thing, it's a great resource. And really, in starting in the beginning, we're starting to make maps and work with the space that is here. So the first thing I want to do is make what's called a sector map. And it really just shows what are the constraints that I'm working with in this space? What are the things that I have to concern myself with when I begin building gardens? So what I did first was just on my notebook, make a list of all of the things that I'm working with under these categories. The contour and topography of the property, wind issues, noise issues, where the sunlight falls on the property, drainage, views or privacy, and air, water, and light pollution. And from there, I'm going to trace it onto a very basic map. If you look up sector maps online, you will find beautiful, wonderful, creative sector maps. This is not one of them, but it will serve the purpose of what I need to create here. So let me show you how I take this and put it onto here. So the first thing I need to do is mark north on my map, which is this way. And then I'm just going to start through my list. So I have drainage that runs from the back of the property to the front. So I'm just going to kind of mark that on here as drainage. And then wind, because this is the north side of the house, the wind in the winter, I have cold winter wind coming from this direction, which of course the house blocks if I'm going to put the garden back here. So that is a good thing for my gardens in the back. But also then in the summer, because I have a big slope here from the house down to the street is about 50 feet. And so I would expect, although I haven't been here in the summer, I would expect that in the afternoon, we're going to have those cool afternoon breezes in the summer as you get convection. So that front porch is going to probably be the coolest spot, not only because it's on the north of the house, but also because we'll probably get a little bit of a breeze there. The only other thing about wind that I wanted to note is that I've got some big tree limbs here and here that if we have severe storms, ice storms or wind storms, they could come down. So that is a potential threat that I have to keep in mind. Tree limbs here. And also here. And of course, there are also trees that are providing shade in those areas and may not be as good for any plants that need summer light. Noise, it's actually very, very quiet here for being in an urban environment, but there are train tracks over here. So there's train noise on this side. Of course, you can hear it everywhere, but that's the way that it runs according to the property. And then with the sunlight, there's a great website called SunCalc that will show you, well, you can put in your address and it will show you on any date of the year where the sun will track. So because this is the south, this is the way that the sun hits the house. And so really we have winter, can't see my things here, winter sun. And then of course in the summer, it rises way over here and it sets way over here. Oops, I should have gone up here. So that's summer sun. Okay, what's next? That means we have shade on the front of the house and very sunny in the back. We already talked about the drainage and how it moves through the property. It's pretty level because it's a steep drop off from the front yard down to the street. Everything else is pretty level, but the drainage will move this direction towards the front. Now, I do have neighbors that are pretty close on both sides, and so I'm gonna have a need for some privacy, especially these are my bedroom windows over here. So I'm gonna need some privacy of some kind on both sides of the house, like that. And there's a little bit of a view this direction, but nothing dramatic, a little bit to see from the porch. And finally, the last thing to note is any air, water, or light pollution that we might deal with. And literally there's street lights all the way around, and some are already obscured by trees, but some I may need some strategic, plantings or structures for street lights, blinds in the house, that kind of thing. So there's one here, there's one here, and there's like 3 around the front. And the only other thing to note that I wanted to add on there is that if we're talking about potential threats, because we do have the train here, it's about 3 blocks away, there is a potential for accidents, of course. That could at some point happen. There's also a big food processing plant called Simmons that's a few blocks away. And there could be an accident or issue, accident, if I spell right. For instance, a couple of months ago, they had an ammonia leak, and the downtown had to have everyone shelter in place until they got that contained for a couple of hours. I have no idea what other kinds of issues. I didn't even know that was an issue until it happened. So just an example of things that are in the neighborhood that are out of my control that I need to be aware of and think through potential preparations in case there are issues like that. So here we go. I have a sector map now that really helps me to understand when I start making more specific plans in my yard, what constraints I am working with, and what types of things I might need to plant or build or grow in order to address the different issues on here. Okay, so that's it for this week's projects. If you are following along at home and doing the same things for your property, I'd love to hear a little bit about what you're creating, whether with your energetic boundaries on your space or with your physical map if you are creating something new where you live. Thanks to everybody who commented on last week's video. If you missed it, go back and watch that one where you get a full tour of my new house. And thank you for all the name suggestions. They were all so beautiful and wonderful. So many flower names, so many bell names. And it felt like as they were coming in, like the house was just like oohing and awing and contemplating and thinking on which one it wanted to pick. And so I think we've got a winner, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'm gonna give it a couple more days to marinate, and then I will let you know next week which name that we went with. And also next week, hopefully I will have an update on the renovation plans. We're getting close. I think we finalized the floor plan last week. We're just tinkering with a few more things, and I'm hoping to have an update on the timeline and what the actual plans are next week. So I'll see you back here next week, and have a wonderful rest of your week.